Hey guys, Altovise to hear your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. This is this is another episode of the hashtag SpeakEasy Podcast. Listen, I know you guys, this has been a phenomenal time because you guys have been shouting us out like crazy. And so I want to shout out to those of you listening on the Gia Savan platform and also those who are checking it out on YouTube, because those have been our top places where we've been getting feedback and getting some comments. We appreciate the feedback, but also there's been some people over in the World Voice League Facebook community who've been listening, and we appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to have your review or comment shouted out on the air, by all means, make sure you go ahead into the World Voice League Facebook group, leave that review, and then we will go ahead and shout you out. With that being said, I'm excited about this episode. It's going to be fun, guys, because we're going from blind dating to quarantine dating, and there are some heck of things going on in the world right now, right, when it comes to dating. And man, today's guest is going to put a whole other spin on it for you that I'm really excited to talk about. So hello, Shelby, how are you today?
Hi, I'm fine, Altovise, and I really appreciate being able to be on your show.
It's my pleasure. And so tell the studio audience a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive into today's topic.
Okay, well, I'm the 78-year-old grandma, but not very typical. I guess you could say unconventional senior at this time in my life because after my husband died, we had been married 50 years and he suddenly died. And wow, I felt like I'd been hit by a baseball bat, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I grieved. I learned to navigate the grief. I learned a lot of things during that time, did a lot of reading and crying and all of that. So I navigated my grief. I decided also that I didn't like being alone. And so I decided to go on the internet to meet somebody because I was out in the country and new place and I didn't have any access to, other than church. And I had been there and that was not going anywhere as far as meeting somebody. But anyway, I ended up sending money to a stranger. There are so many romance scammers. In fact, I read where in 2018 there were 25,000 romance scammers talking to a victim or possible victim at any moment, every single day, 24 hours, 365. They don't take any breaks. So I'm sure we're 3 years later, and with the quarantine, I'm sure there've been a lot more than just 28,000. I felt it was a scam. And a year later, when I found out $145 million had been lost by victims like me, two scammers, I decided to write my book. My book is called Learning to Dance in the Rain 2, and the subtitle is Surviving Grief, Internet Dating, and Romance Scams. Because I feel you have, surviving, wow, a lot of people say, oh, I didn't want to go there. But I have some tips on successful ways of doing it. And if you keep it fun and that instead of getting emotionally involved about it and upset, and then you have a good time. And I think internet dating is a really good way to meet people. And today with the quarantine and this Zoom presence or other things where Skype and so on, where you can just actually, it feels like you're together, right?
Right.
And you learn a whole lot more when you are together this way than you do just from the written word and photos.
I love that because I think for so many, we kind of, it's still a taboo topic when it comes to internet dating and online dating. And people are still a little like skeptic because they're like, yeah, there are all these scammers out there. How do I make sure that who I'm talking to is actually who I'm talking to? And so with that being said, that's a great place to start. Shelby, what would be the first thing that you would tell them if they are even thinking about doing some online dating?
Well, the very first thing is you have a profile on the internet dating site or on Facebook. They'll see that, or different places, and then they'll send you a message, and then you respond, and maybe you have 15 minutes of talking back and forth, and all of a sudden they want you to go to another platform. Well, if they ask you that, every single person that I went on Google Hangouts with or WhatsApp, every single one, well, no, there was one guy that was real. All the rest of them were scammers. They all got around. And how do I know they were scammers? Because they asked for money. That is the big rule. And it doesn't have to be money. One guy, oh, well, my cell phone is broken. Would you please buy me a new one and send it to me? Well, that's money. I'm sorry. Oh, well, I didn't ask for money, or they'll ask for an iTunes card or something like that, a gift card. And oh, well, I didn't ask for money. Well, yes, you did. I have to spend money to buy that. I have to spend money to send it to you. No. And the first thing you should do is just hang up and stop talking to them. Move on to the next one. There's plenty of guys out there for women, and there's a lot of women out there for men. So you don't have to get stuck with the first one that messaged you. I was on for 2 years before I met Bill, and then it took Bill a year to decide that maybe he wanted to have a relationship. So that I've known this guy for 2 years, so I felt right away I felt safe with him. And, you just have to check things out. Another thing I did, and men don't like it, is I did a background search. And if you find out from that way, if there's no background recorded anywhere, that's a flag, a red flag. You may not have to say, no, but you got to think, maybe. And you go from there and see if you have something. I have on my website, which is learningtodanceintherain.org, I have a contact page, and I'm going to put up a list. One of my chapters is red flags that tell you it's a scammer. And if you sign up and ask for, I have your email address I'm going to do a newsletter. I will send you this list of 27 red flags. Now, the money part is the absolute end. You know that. If they ask you for money, whatever that's at. But there are several others that tell you, watch out, this is probably a scammer. And that's what my list does. But I'm offering that free to anyone that comes and signs up.
I love that because when we think about again, the pitfalls when it comes to online dating, there are a lot of people that are like, immediately, oh, I want to support them. I want to help them. I want to, because people can talk good.
Oh, you sure can. And these men and women are very good at what they do.
Exactly.
I wanted to say, my friend Bill, he was online too, and he knows how to recognize a woman scammer. And he says, they're not women, they're men pretending to be women. Because I could give them some lessons and they'd be much more successful than what they're doing. I said, you shut up. We don't want to do that. We don't want to encourage them.
Oh, wow. And that's an interesting thought process because I guess you would have some that would be like, we think about the show Catfish and people that would be catfishing and have like a whole profile and they're nothing like the profile that they have up online.
They pretend they're somebody else. I mean, when you have Zoom like this and we can see each other, then we at least know, that person looks like what I thought he did. But if you don't have if you have a picture on that computer and just words, you have no idea who's on the other side. And he might be a prisoner. One of my friends, she sent money to a guy, and he had Alzheimer's. He was in a nursing home. And when they found him, and he was being scammed, he had sent her money to somebody else whom they never found. So
Wow.
that's one incident. And on the other hand, I'm in Florida right now on vacation for the winter. I live in Michigan, getting away from that snow.
Oh, yes, definitely.
A couple that lives in this condo park. And we got talking the other night, and Bill says, "Oh yeah, Shelby's an author." And okay, so Shelby starts talking. Well, come to find out, that couple had met online in one of the web dating websites, and they were the first person to either one of them had talked to, and they chatted and they got going, and then I think it was 2019 they got married.
Aww.
And they were a beautiful couple, so they're very happy. I met another couple when I was having a display in a street festival, and they saw my big sign that's and then they said internet dating. Okay, so they came over and we started talking, and oh yeah, they had lived not too far from each other actually, and started dating, and they'd been dating a year and a half or 2 years or something, quite a long time. And they had gotten married the previous 3 months. And I said to him, well, how come may I ask how you came to that decision to ask her to marry you? He said, I don't know. I just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to ask her to marry me today. And so they'd been married 6 months, and they were, very happy. So I think too, the way this past year has been, like you said, with the quarantine, and how do you, I think you progress. First you talk on the dating site, a day, several hours, whatever, until you think that person is real. They don't exhibit any of my red flags, and then except they maybe ask you for start texting. Okay, well, if you've already talked to them for a couple, 3 days or a couple of weeks or what, I mean, there's been some guys I chatted off and on for a couple, 3 weeks before they finally said, well, can I have your, can we start texting? And so then you progress then from the texting, whatever, to maybe a phone call. But now you have Zoom, you have Skype. If you're an Apple fan, you have FaceTime.
Right.
So you can sit and talk like we are doing right now. And gee, I feel like I know you now. We've only talked for how long? 15, 20 minutes.
Right, exactly. Now, one of the things that I wanted to highlight too is the reason why I thought it was going to be such an amazing episode too, is because you didn't allow yourself being scammed to stop you. And so for a lot of people, that would have been it. They would have called it quits. They would have said, if God doesn't bring him to my doorstep, then he wasn't meant for me. And they just would have gave up. Mm-hmm. But you didn't. And so I wanted you to speak to that, because I know that even when it comes to us dating and just regularly dating, and we go through some type of hardship, or we go through some type of situation in a relationship and it ends on a sour note, how do we kind of get that drive or keep that momentum to say, okay, that was just one bad experience, let me try again?
Well, yes. I was when I first started talking to my kids about online dating, their father had died 6 months earlier. And both of them, oh, no, mom, you're not. And when I mentioned internet dating, oh, no, mom, And I told my son, you met your wife on Match.com. Oh, that's different, But so they said, Mom, you get scammed. There are people out there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I don't think I'll send any money to a stranger. And so I don't take orders very well. And so I was curious. That's gotten me into a lot of trouble. I can say that, being curious. And so I did sign up for it. Okay, so 3 months I was still grieving. That's what my daughter said. You're still grieving, Mom. You really don't need to do that. But I think she was right. Um, I had moved from Tennessee to Michigan to be close to her. And I had sold my house. I had gone back to Tennessee. I was alone and I was packing up. So and it was a house that my husband and I had built together. He had designed it. It was very emotional. And this guy starts talking to me. Okay. It was nice to have somebody to talk to once in a while I was there by myself. I was also sick, but I didn't know that at the time. But anyway, he they're very good at what they do. And I had already been asked several times for money. I mean, I thought I was the darling of the internet because when I first got messages, oh, my inbox filled up so fast. And then I discovered they all got around to asking me for money. There wasn't an honest one in there. So I've had experience talking to these people. And this guy, he fit some of my red flags. So I was skeptical of him. But he got to me because he used my Christian. He knew I was a Christian. He knew the Bible says, feed the poor. You know, what is it? Someone needs a coat on your back to give it to them, you know, all that. Mm-hmm. He knew that about me. And so here he was, a businessman in China who had been arrested. His money and his passport, all that had been taken away from him. Actually, his money was stolen on his way back to the hotel. But anyway, he appealed to and he was starving. So here I am. I know this guy is a scammer, most likely, and it's not time. But there was just a little bit. What if he is starving? Can I let him die in China? You know? So I made a conscious decision. It was a loan, and it was the down payment from my house I was buying in Michigan. And I told him, I don't have that kind of money. But we got around and he says, when do you need the money? When are you closing on your house? And I told him in 3 weeks, I'll get you the money back by then. And I should have known better still, but I did know better. But I had that little niggling thought that maybe he was starving to death. So I did not send him what he wanted. I sent him a little bit. Of course, then he wanted more. And that's when I said, And so I was very upset. My daughter was very upset. I wasn't going to tell anybody about this incident. But I ended up telling my daughter, and she took me to the police and blah, blah, blah. We did all this report. And I felt humiliated. Oh, because Mom, that was a scam. Mom, you shouldn't have done that. Mom, you won't get your money. All this negative stuff. And I just really felt almost devastated again. But I got over it. And I said, I was helping somebody who I thought needed help. And I had spent my money on the website subscription. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it till the end of this and see what happens. And so I started doing it again. And I talked to, in the first 2 years there, when I was writing my book, I talked to about 200 men. I mean, people. I don't know if they were all men or not, but I thought they were. And I met 50 of them in 2 years. I had somebody says, you had 50 dates in 2 years? How did you do that? Well, one every other week, that kind of, or one day I did have two. I had one for lunch and one for supper. So I had a lot of fun. I had a full social life. And at the same time, I would grieve. Sometimes I'd be thinking about something and the tears would just flow, So, but that helped me to get through it. Plus, where did the title of my book come from is I started learning to line dance and started to go to singles dances. So, I read, I did dancing, and yeah, this was a rainy time. This was a sad time. This was a time of reflection. And learning to dance helped me get it through it. And that's why I gave it the title. one man said to me, Shelby, dancing doesn't equal scams to me. I said, well, that's why I've got it in the subtitle. But I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. I love it. SpeakEasy listeners, this is why I thought this would be a great episode, a fun one for you to listen in, but also to touch on some great things that are happening that are still kind of taboo topics when it comes to, us in business, because a lot of times business owners, we have a hard time dating and trying to juggle. I won't say balance because there's no balance, but trying to juggle having a dating life as well as trying to do business. And so you definitely want to tap in and listen in to the episode. If you heard some things, go back and write them down. It's okay to press the pause button and go back. But also, I want you to connect with Shelby. So Shelby, let them know the name of the book again and where they can find you at in order for them to get a copy.
All right, well, my website is the same name as my book, and that's learningtodance.org. I wrote the book 2 years ago and published it and was doing fine until the COVID, and then I couldn't get out and sell it anymore. So I doubled the size of the book. I put more information that will help people to know that it's scamming. And the name of the book then is Learning to Dance in the Rain. 2 is the one, and this is surviving grief, internet dating, and romance scams. And there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, this is a really, really big issue right now because romance scams are now the costliest scam ever reported to the FTC.
Wow.
4.75 million dollars was lost in 2019 to scammers. So this romance scam thing is a big business. It's not just somebody sitting there, oh, please send me $5, oh, $50. It's a big multi-million dollar business. And I suspect, and everybody suspects, that 2020 will be even more because you have isolation and people that have no way of talking to other people, but I'll go on a dating site. And if they read my book, they can be successful and not get scammed.
I love it. I love it. SpeakEasy listeners, you know that we do it all for you, because without the SpeakEasy podcast listeners, there would be no SpeakEasy podcast. So make sure that you are leaving us a review, letting us know how this episode resonated with you on your favorite podcasting platform, or come join the conversation. bit.ly/World Voice Community. Join the free Facebook group. We would love to have you there and to hear your insight about online dating. Have you done it? Are you thinking about doing it? By all means, let us know. And we want to be able to have that feedback and share it out on another episode. With that being said, I appreciate you guys. And until next time, I'm your host, Altovise. And don't forget to press it out. See ya.